Well, Razorback fans, we're going to sit here and we're going to ask the question with the NCAA tournament looming. Who's the most important player on this team, by the way? Well, let's talk about in today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. A little unorthodox, I know, with the setup. You're probably wondering, where in the world am I at? Well, I'm in Providence. I'm inside of my Airbnb. And there's some reasons for that. There's some reasons for why it went this way and why it is this way. And we'll talk about the experiences that I've had in Providence here in the first early going. But we'll get into that as well as some other talk when it comes to a question that was posed about how this team compares to previous NCAA tournament teams for Arkansas. Especially the most recent one. But, you know, I've arrived. I've arrived here, and it's here. You know, like, this is the NCAA tournament. It's do or die. It's win or go home. There's no alternatives. There's no options. There's no other things you can do. It's just win or go home. And so it's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting to be here once again, but also to enjoy what has already happened in March Madness. We had a playing game last night, a couple playing games. And so that was really entertaining to watch, needless to say. But, you know, for Arkansas, in this particular case, they have had, of course, as we know, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. They've had a lot of problems. They've had a lot of highlights. They've had so many things that's happened. And the one thing, though, that has really been a question, I think, for everybody going into each game is, you know, who's the guy on this team? I mean, we've seen glimpses of how great Nelly Davis can be. We've seen glimpses of how great someone like Big Z can be. We've seen glimpses of Jonas Aidoo and how great he can be. Trevin Brazil, DJ Wagner, Aidoo Thero when he's healthy, Boogie Fland when he's healthy. I mean, it's just weird how this team, I believe that they're really good. I believe that they have the talent to possibly make the Sweet 16, but they just don't really have any of those guys that you just look at and you're like, okay, this one's the dude. This one's the guy. And that's not necessarily a problem or something you want to have happening here to start the NCAA tournament. Like, that's just not something you want to deal with. But it's your reality. You don't have time to try to continue to figure out who's it going to be. You don't have time to kind of figure out how this team's going to look in later down the road once they get their chemistry going. This is it. This is all you got. This is what it's about. So, who's the most valuable player on this team? And I want to mean valuable. I don't mean best. I'm talking about for this team to make a run in the NCAA tournament, for this team to actually do something and get to the second week and get to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, whatever. Who is the most important player to help Arkansas do that? And the reason that this question was brought up is because of Boogie Fland and the element of him. Because before Boogie Fland really got hurt, he was one of the best players on this team. I mean, he was leading the SEC in assist-to-turnover ratio by far. There were a few games where he really showed out and showcased his talents and was the best player on the team, was the leading scorer on the team. All of those things. Like, there's been times we have seen that, and it's looked really good and it's looked really fun. But since he's been out for so long, is there somebody that we can count on? Is there somebody that you can count on? Now, the easiest answer here would be, oh, well, Nelly Davis. Because of what Nelly Davis has been able to do, from what he has approached the game as and how he's gotten better, he has not been, I don't think anybody could ever, accuse him of being the player that they all thought he would be by any stretch. But he is somebody that is definitely doing better, and you can at least count on him a little bit more. You're not always cringing whenever he takes threes. You're not cringing anytime he gets on the floor because you just feel like he's a turnover machine. Like, he's at least surpass that expectation. But is he the most valuable? Like if you lost Nelly Davis, like if Nelly Davis could not play in the NCAA tournament game tomorrow, like what would that make your feelings be? Would it be like, oh man, this is a for sure loss? Or would it be like, ooh, well, that's unfortunate, but we might be able to still do this? Same thing with like a DJ Wagner. DJ Wagner, I don't think has really been talked about enough. And some of the great things that he's done. He hasn't been perfect in every element, but he's definitely done a lot of better things than what people are willing to give him credit on. But if he was not going to play in this game, there would be some people that'd be like, well, we got Boogie Flan, so it's okay. And even someone like Big Z, which I know people may roll your eyes and may laugh at that, but Big Z being like for me, having Big Z out there on the court, just the threat of him, the threat of his ability to be a 7'2", 7'3", 3-point shooter makes defenses approach him in a different way. Same thing with him offensively. I think that teams that are going to be going up offensively against him maybe not drive the floor so much because they know that, hey, there's this big 7'2" guy downstairs or down there that can block our shots and then just cause some problems for us. So there's an element of that too. Again, I'm not trying to say he's for sure the most important player, but I'm just saying that there are so many things that he can do, even if he's not playing well. There's so many things he can do to be able to add in a new element and a threat of other players and other teams that they go up against. But I may shock a few of you in this. Maybe not. Maybe you all think it's stupid. But you want to know who, to me, is the most important, most valuable player on this team for the NCAA tournament and to make their run? I'm being honest here. It's Jonas Aidoo. Now, again, I want to reiterate, I'm not talking about him going out there and scoring 20 points a game. I'm not talking about his offensive abilities, and that's what you just can't miss out on. I'm not talking about that. It's part of his game. But as we all know, when it comes to the NCAA tournament, it's about defense. Like defense wins a lot of these games. You can get hot from three and you can win games, but the second that you're not shooting really well, what else you got? What's your other course of action? What's the other thing you can do? A lot of these teams, they don't really have too much. So what is it that you have to find a way to do? Well, that's why I feel like Jonas Aidoo, being the defensive presence that he is down low, is crucial. I think Big Z can offer some of that. I think Trevin Brazil can offer some of that as some of your bigger players. But especially with Aidoo Thero being out, you got somebody in Jonas Aidoo that is a legit threat defensively, who's a physical guy, who can mix it up a little bit with teams, who can, really step down on the block. Like the guy was the all SEC defensive team last year for a reason. It wasn't because he just got lucky or he just happened to be giving it to him for no reason. Like he has somebody that can truly add something to it, but you have to be able to be consistent with it. Like I think that it's great if Aidoo can add in the offensive side of things, but you're going to go up against teams that are going to try to bully you, that are going to try to go in on you, that are going to try to get physical with you. And I just don't think Big Z or Trevin Brazil are the two guys. I think they do a lot of other things well, but I just don't think those are the two guys that you're wanting to be down mixing it up with some of the other bigs, or down there and mixing up with teams that are having their guards drive the floor, having to do switches. Well, whatever it is. I just don't think that's the team, that's the type of guys that you want. But Jonas Aidoo can be that difference maker. He can be the difference maker defensively. He can be the difference maker when it comes to his switches, because I think that he does a good job with those. And if he does add into the mix of his offensive game, where he can get those little gimmies underneath the goal, if he can do the layups, whatever it is, if he can do some of these things, then that suddenly opens up a whole nother door of great things that can happen for Arkansas if they just have him, one, stay out of foul trouble, two, stay healthy, and three, continue to build upon his game that he's been able to provide over the past few games. The last time we saw him in the SEC tournament, I think he played pretty well, but I think about Mississippi State and how great he was against them in the final regular season game. The talent is there. The greatness is there. It's just a matter of him unlocking it. And I'm telling you right now, if there is a player that you can tell me they're going to play their best basketball against Kansas. I get one player to play the best game of the season. Give me Jonas Aidoo. I think that he's that difference maker. I think he can be that guy, and I think he's going to make a difference for Arkansas. But we're going to talk about this team compared to other NCAA tournament teams for Arkansas, particularly the latest one back in 2023. Are there some similarities there? We'll talk about it here on the other side of the break, so stay with us on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I'm here to tell you about our friends over at Upwork. We know that scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more experts ready to help you take on the business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day, with multiple qualified candidates to choose from, they can come after you. And instead of hiring full-time, Upwork actually helps you find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale the businesses that you have efficiently. So visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. We're also brought to you by our friends over with Fabric by Gerber Life. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first step, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get the term of insurance that fits your family needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes. And in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent, you always want to make sure that your family is financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives you that peace of mind. You can get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. So protecting your loved ones doesn't have to be a breaking the bank. Fabric also offers free digital wills and access to investment accounts to help you plan for your children's future. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Insurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. This is a question that got asked to us as we were doing Inside Arkansas Live, and I thought it was interesting to talk about and to follow up with. Like Arkansas this year, as we know, went 8-10 in SEC play. They finished with a 9 seed in the SEC, and here they are in the SEC in the NCAA tournament as a 10 seed. What would be maybe a good comparison, or at least maybe the best comparison for Arkansas right now where it stands, would be the team just a few years ago that, ironically enough, beat Kansas to go to the Sweet 16. For those who don't remember, that team that year had a lot of expectations. That team underperformed in those expectations. That team had a lot of McDonald's All-Americans. That team had some pretty significant injuries to some of their significant players. And then that team went on to go to the Sweet 16 and to beat the Kansas Jayhawks in doing so. Not to mention the fact that they went to, of course, the Sweet 16 against Kansas. And honestly, it was a great game. It's definitely one to remember. So why even bring it up? Why even mention that team and what they did or what they didn't do? Well, to me, it's about like, okay, so what team was better? Which team would be more satisfying in their success and making it to the Sweet 16? Say if Arkansas made it to the Sweet 16 this year, would it be more satisfying now than what it was then? Well, maybe I'm just living in the moment. Maybe I'm taking too much of it for granted. Maybe I'm just trying to make odd sense out of it. But to me, I always felt like that team that year, back when they did win it, is something that you got to not only appreciate, but also knowing that the expectations you had and with the injuries that you had, you felt like maybe you were just chalking it up to that. Chalking it up to, well, this team underperformed because they had injuries and they were just too young because their best players were their freshmen. You had not only Anthony Black doing everything, but then you had, guys like Jordan Walsh, who was so raw but came on late. The Nick Smith situation where he didn't play much because of those injuries. And then you add into the mix of guys that, you weren't having to rely, you didn't want to rely on too much, but then you ended up having to, like the Mekhi Mitchell and Mikael Mitchell. And then you throw in somebody like Jalen Graham, Kamani Johnson, who was big in some of those games. You just had those players to where they were fine and they did a good job and maybe they over achieved. But you were just in a position where it's like, well, we didn't really want to count on these guys. But this year, it's like the players that you had that were so good and have been so good for you, and since we have such a limited bench, it's been great to see the growth, to see the approach, and to see just how good they have been in crunch time and in the most important parts of the season. And you want them to be, of course, playing their best basketball right now, which I don't think there's really any argument. They are playing their best basketball right now. Is it enough? We'll see. But just think about if Arkansas was able to beat Kansas and then beat St. John's, which is more than likely the team that they're going to have to end up beating. If they were able to pull that off from where you were earlier this season, would be the most incredible thing. Because that year in 2023, because of your net ranking, you were never out of the NCAA tournament. You never felt like, well, this team's just zero chance of being in the NCAA tournament. They kept doing enough in the early part of the year. The net ranking was so high that they were always in it. And if you don't remember correctly, they were a 10 seed in the SEC tournament, but then ended up being an 8 or 9 seed. I can't remember which one it was, but being one of those teams in the NCAA tournament. So it just shows you how big they had with the net ranking and all of that. But this year's team, there was a stretch where it's like, this is not an NCAA tournament team. Plain and simple. They just did not look it. They did not feel it. They did not act like it. There was just nothing about it. And considering the expectation that came along with it with Cal and everyone talking about how he can't coach anymore, he's over the hill and he's a first round early exit guy now and all that. Maybe that's the case. Maybe we see that this year. But for Cal, maybe not so much as Arkansas, but for Cal, to see him overcome the things that he would overcome, to see him do the coaching that he had to do. He had to be a good coach and get these guys playing their best because of those injuries and to overcome those things and to go against the odds and to make it happen to where he goes to the Sweet 16, given all the things that's gone against him, which, I'm not feeling sorry for him, I'm just being honest. Given the things that went against them, for them to come out on top and make the Sweet 16 would be such an incredible feat. I feel like it'd be hard to, not give credit where credit is due. I feel like it'd just be difficult. So to me, it would be this year. Maybe I'm living in a moment. Maybe I'm just in the recency bias. Maybe that's the case. I'll admit it. But still, I want to see where this team goes, and I want to see what they got going on as well. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun NCAA tournament. Talk about my first impressions of Providence now that I've arrived here. You're just saying, so stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, here I am to talk to you about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy, very easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check in on all your finances, track spending, and even spin long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever, and you can even track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your very first year with Monarch Money.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. So those you don't know, again, and this is not going to be my setup every time. This is just what I had to do because it's been a hellacious day here in Providence. So just to give a long story short, so first off, we come in and it was like the bumpiest and most turbulent flight I've ever been on, one of them at least. And for those of you who listen, you know how much I hate flying. So that's how the day started. It was a long day. We get out there, we got our Airbnb, and we're trying to get into it, and we get into it, and it's freezing cold in there, and we don't really understand why. It's a nice spot, but then they sent a message like an hour before we go in there, like, oh, by the way, the furnace went out, and we can't fix it, and you're just screwed. So you can either get a full refund, or you can, it's like you can go ahead and stay there in the sub 50 degree temperatures, and we'll give you $250 off. Ooh, what a deal, man. That was really hard. So it took us forever to try to figure out like what we needed to do and where we're going to stay. So we had to pick up and move everything and stay in a different spot and set it all up, which is why I'm doing it from here and why it's kind of unorthodox and all of that. But it was just a very unfortunate and unusual circumstances. But I will say, as far as the city of Providence goes, I haven't been able to see all of it yet. I mean, we're going to have a lot more going on tomorrow. But it's definitely a weird hybrid of where it gets this beachy vibe, like because you're close to the beach. It's like the houses and everything's kind of beachy, but yet the other parts of the houses are kind of like colonial and old, like this house we're in now. And then you mix it in with the people that are kind of Bostonian a little bit, you know, with the accents and their approach and the teams that they like and everything. It's just it's a hodgepodge. It's a crazy group of randos that kind of came together here in Providence. But the food's been good. The people have been really nice. And I've been really appreciative of that. And I've been really enjoying it as far as seeing the new parts of it. I mean, I'm just never going to have a reason to go to Providence until now. And so I don't think it's not a place I'll come back to for vacation or anything. And that's not an insult against Providence. It's just not a destination spot. But I can't wait to see more of it. The weather's been all right so far. Again, the people have been nice. It's a place that we're going to be live doing our content and shows from Snookers. So it's called up here, and it's a sports bar here in Providence. So that'll be a lot of fun. But the experience, though, with the Airbnb and everything was awful. And I am still irate about it. I still think it's crap. I still think I'm owed something for it, even though they refuse to really do anything about it. But that won't be the last thing they hear from me. But anyways, I'm going to enjoy it. Good vibes only, positive vibes only. And we're going to get it done here in Providence. But appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have, and we'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.